G'day, I'm James Wildon from JT Performance, and this is 40 PSI, our drag car. Anything with an engine since I can remember. So I don't know, when do you start remembering things? 5. My dad always had boats. My dad was into cars. He used to sell cars. So I feel like most of my car or engine related passion comes from my dad probably. First car I got once I got my license was actually a Nissan Skyline. Yeah, it was a silver 4-door R32 with an RB25 in it. It was automatic too, so I think that was probably the biggest tipping point when I realised that I could actually start doing something, is when I did a manual conversion on it in my garage at home. I don't even know what a manual transmission looked like, but I went and bought all the parts, put the car up on some axle stands, had a look at the auto trans, and I was like, I can make that go in there. It was a bit of a dunger, but it did everything it needed to do for a 15-year-old. And yeah, got into heaps of trouble in that, doing skids and stuff where you shouldn't be. I think it stuffed like 15 pound of boost through it and blew up like half an hour later. And that's when I started realising that there's more to this. There must be things that you can do to keep these things together. And I suppose probably so 15 years ago when I was 15, that was when I realised that tuning is something that I'd be interested in doing. So I used to actually work as a salesperson at Repco. That was my first sort of job in the automotive scene. Then moved to another crowd in Auckland that sold performance aftermarket parts. I remember asking for a week off from work there. I can't remember what for. I think it was to do some car related stuff, and my boss just said no, so I just quit. I just said, stuff you, not interested, I want to do my own thing. And then I did the week of whatever I needed to do. And then once that week was over, I went, shit, I didn't have a job. Let's try and make something happen here. Started putting some messages out there. Hey, look, I'm looking at doing some builds or building your engine or helping with this. And then it just started flowing. My phone kept going off. Realised that I needed a space to do the work. Got a workshop. And I've had 2 or 3 shops since then. I always, when I started the business, JT Performance, I knew the end goal was I wanted to do tuning. I was just fascinated by being able to do these things with these cars. The first part of JT's existence was purely mechanical. I was building engines, putting engines in cars, suspension upgrades, that sort of carry on. And we had a good friend of mine, Marcel, he's got an R32 GT-R, and we did a lot of work with that. And that was probably the first car that I got heavily involved with actually tuning it myself. And once that car did good, behaved, didn't give us any dramas, I realised that this is something I actually want to pursue and start doing more of. So I took the advantage that it wasn't a customer, it was more so a friend. So if it blew up, it wasn't going to be so bad. And yeah, we heard that a couple times, but we learned, and now we're able to offer the service to people and not having dramas. Favourite customer build that I've done? All of them, to be fair. Yeah. When I build a car or when I'm involved in a car, it's my passion. I put effort into it. So anything I do, is something that I enjoy. Well, they're all my favourites. Ultimate goal for my business would be to maintain what we've created so far and just keep building sick cars. I wasn't even actually looking at building a GT-R. I just got a good deal basically. I do a bit of wheeling and dealing at home. I'll buy and sell things, and if I can find a good deal, I'll buy it and flick it on. Found this, bought it, and I went, that's kind of cool. You know, there's some people doing some pretty cool things with GT-Rs. So the bug bit, I guess, that's where it all started. First it was just a factory body MEN 26, making around 600 horsepower, and then that broke, so replaced it with a forged one. That broke, then replaced it with a 3 litre, that broke. And yeah, as I'm sure you can imagine, we just kept breaking things, but it was a real good learning curve, and now we're here. It is a 3.6 litre billet engine. We've got a ProMod 8803. It's got a Injector Dynamics brushless 1100 litre per hour fuel pump controller. The majority of GT-Rs, yes, do run mechanical fuel pumps. There's a handful around that are still running electric. And for what the system that was in there beforehand, it was straightforward and easy just to put that exact same pump in. We haven't had any problems, it's been great. As for clutch, driveline, gearbox, direct twin plate clutch, Albin's ST6 billet sequential, and billet drive shafts throughout. I can't remember why I stayed away from drive-by-wire. It wasn't for any reason in particular, it's just this is the manifold that it's got, and I haven't had a need to change it. So a lot of the cars that I build back at home, especially the street cars, are drive-by-wire. It's just a little bit nicer on the throttle. You can do cool stuff like cruise control and valet mode and that sort of carry on. With this car, with what it does specifically, the benefits and the features of drive-by-wire aren't going to really help me with what I do with the car, so that's half the reason why I just never bothered with it. It makes roughly around 1900 horsepower and about 60 pound of boost. Pretty straightforward underneath. It's just got a full set of hard race adjustable arms throughout. DNA Autosports have actually just done an alignment for me around the corner. MCA red coilovers, and the diffs front and rear are actually still factory. This is the first set of wheels and tyres that I've had on it. Well, the tyres I've replaced once or twice. I wanted it to look like a GT-R from Sydney in Auckland. So I went on to Sydney Marketplace, found some wheels, bought them, sent them over. The whole car is controlled with the Haltech. We've got an R5 controlling the front of the car, PD16 controlling the rear of the car. We have IC7 dash, sorry, and Haltech keypad, keep everything under control. So now we're inside the car. Obviously, we've got OMP race seat to keep me nice and secure. We try to keep as much of the trim in the car as possible. And even though it's a race car, we don't do a lot of street driving in it, it's still nice to have all the interior in here and feel somewhat comfortable and at home. We've got IC7 dash, which is showing us all of our crucials. We've set it up in a way that if anything's red on the dash, it's either too cold or too warm. Makes it real easy to see if we've got something that's not quite right. And all the little functions that we need to keep control on the keypad: boost control, nitrous arm, nitrous purge, power steering pump, all those little bits and pieces in there. Yeah, it's just got an extra power steering pump. Just frees up heaps of space in the engine bay. Makes it so much easier to work on. It's just got one, so at the moment the car's only gone 170 miles. So in New Zealand, I know that I think 180 mile is our dual chute. Might be 200 mile, might be wrong. But yeah, just for now we've only got one parachute, but maybe we'll find ourselves needing two soon. So I wanted to keep the car as roadworthy as possible. So I opted for a bolt and roll cage instead of a Wildon. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have just welded it in the first place, but the cage is still good for us to go to an 8.0, so we've still got a bit more to go with this cage. Yeah, still with the windows. Everything still works. I didn't really have an end goal, like I said. I just kind of, it was more so, well, once I got the car and realised that I could actually do some cool things with it, I adapted it into a business orientated thing, to try and help push the business, show what we can do, and that's where all the braking stuff came from. I mean, you're only going to break stuff when you're pushing limits. So yeah, no, there was no end goal. I'm surprised that it's even where it is now. I wasn't planning for this to happen, but we're here. Everybody loves GT-Rs. They're an extremely strong base to start with. You can get away with factory axles, factory diffs for even deep sevens if you're really lucky. So I never was a huge fan of drag racing, but once the car started making the horsepower that it does, I realized that that's kind of the only really thing I can do with it, along with roll racing. And yeah, that's why we ended up where we are now. So far it's gone 850 at 170 mile an hour. That was back home. We did that in November last year. With a slower setup than what's in the car now. The reason why it's where it is now is because we've come over here to have some fun with the big boys, and I wanted to be at least somewhat competitive. So we've made some changes to turn it up a little bit. So if you want to be technically correct, it is the fastest full street trim GT-R in New Zealand. So the first time it ever went drag racing, it did a 9.3, which was already quite fast. It was already turned up quite a bit. I think it was just on 1,000 horsepower, maybe just over. Already has a sequential gearbox. Once it did that pass, I was like, shit, okay, we can actually do something here. This might actually turn into a bit of a serious car. And then, yeah, the power evolved, the time started dropping, and yeah, I just feel like there's just more fun to be had over here in Sydney and Australia, so that's why we're coming to Sydney. There's never an end. There's always parts coming out. There's always things to change. If you lose a race, you don't want to lose again, so you make more power. You do this, you do that. So I don't think there's anything drastic to be done to the car. Like, it's got a very good, solid setup in it now, so it should just behave and continue on. I'm going to leave the car here in Sydney for probably a few months. We've made the big effort to get here. It would be a shame not to do more events with the car. So now that this is all done, well, not all done, but now that I'm at a point where I'm happy with this, I've bought a Evo 9 to start diving into and getting a little bit more involved with that scene. Completely factory, not even a pod filter. So yeah, that'd be exciting to do. I've been involved with some pretty serious Evos over the last few years, but I want my own. I won't get too carried away with it, but it's just something else that I want to do. Full send, do it. Yeah, it's the coolest thing. I think being self-employed and being able to do your own thing every day and turn it into a somewhat successful career, you'd be silly not to give it a shot. You have to. The worst that can happen is it can not work and you go get a job somewhere else.